The Bode Museum is not only one of the most beautiful museums on Museum Island, but it also has one of the more interesting collections because it stretches all the way from the end of the Roman Empire up through the 19th century.
Well, actually the Bode Museum is, as I think, the most beautiful museum of all of them. And it hosts one of the greatest collections of sculptures in the world. So it's easily to be named on the top list of sculptures or sculpture collections. And there has also been a great concept of Wilhelm von Bode, the first museum's director, who said that it's a fault to separate artworks by their genre, but he knew that context is one of the most important features of art.
That was actually something I was trying to figure out exactly what percentage of items in the Museum Island collections were destroyed or partially damaged during the Second World War.
Actually, nearly half of the artworks that has been here are already destroyed or lost. And we do have records of the curators and the employees actually running through the burning house, trying to rescue artworks as they could, but a heavy marble statue was out of the question for that. This angel is made from a white marble. I don't know if it's really Carrara marble, but it's definitely a very white marble, as you can see on the shoulders. And as you can see, there's not much left of this whiteness of the marble. I think it's an extremely important artwork. It does not only tell us something about the early 17th century in Venice, but it does tell us much more about the Second World War, about the history of this collection and about the history and the war in Berlin.
So that's what's so cool about museums, is that you really do see the piece in 3D, and so you're not just looking at a picture of it in a book somewhere or a photo. Because I always think that the feeling of approaching a piece is almost as...
Yeah, that's true. And I also like this feeling that turning around a corner and then there's a whole new universe appearing just miraculously in front of your eyes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show you one of our crown jewels, so to speak. It's the Dancer by Antonio Canova. Canova particularly traveled to Carrara to find the perfect stone for this statue. And what he commissioned and bought was something else from the outside, as it turned out to be on the inside, because you can see that there's some black enclosure. And well, there is a legend that Canova actually was near fainting, or near to fainting, when she was unwrapped in Vienna. But the commissioner actually was an art lover enough to see that with this tiny fold of the black enclosure, she's actually more perfect, because it's not always about perfection. There you go for this angel who's actually going for the Beyoncé movements. It's really like out of the video for all the single ladies.